Most men think power comes from reaction. They think they must reply, explain, defend, correct, prove. They believe silence means weakness. They believe not responding means losing. They are wrong. The most terrifying man in any room is not the loud one. It is not the aggressive one. It is the man who hears everything and responds to nothing. Because when you give no response, you take control of the frame. You decide what matters. You decide who exists. And once you understand this, people will begin to fear losing your attention more than you fear losing their approval. By the end of this video, you will understand why no response is not passive. It is dominance in its purest form. If this is the first time you're watching a video from this channel, you've done yourself a favor. Welcome to the Mind Forge, where weak habits are burned away and unshakable men are forged. This channel is for men who refuse to be average. Men who choose discipline over comfort, silence over noise, and self-mastery over validation. Subscribe now, because once you see the world through this lens, you can't unsee it. From childhood, men are conditioned to react. When someone insults you, respond. When someone questions you, explain. When someone misunderstands you, clarify. This conditioning creates reactive men. Reactive men live inside other people's frames. Their emotions are controlled externally. Their behavior is dictated by pressure. The man who responds to everything is predictable. Predictability is weakness. Because the moment someone knows, they can provoke a response from you. They own you. Silence breaks this ownership. No response says, I do not recognize you as significant enough to require energy. And humans fear irrelevance more than rejection. Why no response creates psychological pressure. The human brain is uncomfortable with unresolved situations. When you don't respond, people don't get closure. When they don't get closure, their mind spirals. They begin to ask, did I offend him? Does he see through me? Did I lose status? Is he judging me? This internal dialogue drains them, not you. Silence shifts the burden of discomfort onto the other person. They feel exposed. They feel unsure. They feel powerless. And power always flows toward the person who remains calm while others unravel. Not everyone deserves access to you. Most men give unlimited emotional access to people who haven't earned it. They reply instantly. They explain themselves repeatedly. They try to be understood by people committed to misunderstanding them. A man who uses no response filters his environment naturally. Weak people panic when ignored. Manipulative people escalate. Insecure people reveal themselves. Strong people pause. Respectful people adjust. High-value people reflect. Silence separates men without effort. Why explaining lowers your value? Every explanation you give sends a signal. Sometimes that signal is, I need you to agree with me. That signal is dangerous. Because when you explain yourself to someone who didn't ask for clarity, you're asking for validation. High-status men state. Low-status men justify. Silence says, my actions stand on their own. And when your actions are aligned, silence becomes undeniable authority. The social hierarchy of attention. Attention is currency. The one who gives more attention is always lower in the hierarchy than the one who receives it. When you stop responding, you stop feeding egos. You stop rewarding disrespect. You stop validating manipulation. People begin to adjust their behavior around you. Not because you demanded it, but because attention withdrawal is punishment at a primal level. When no response is most powerful, Silence works best in 3 situations: when you are disrespected, when someone seeks validation, when someone tries to control the narrative. In these moments, any reaction gives them leverage. No response removes their leverage completely. They expected noise. They got nothing. And nothing is terrifying. The difference between weak silence and powerful silence. Not all silence is equal. Weak silence is avoidance. Powerful silence is control. The difference lies in posture, presence, and certainty. You are not silent because you're afraid. You are silent because you've decided nothing needs to be said. This type of silence is felt. People sense it in your body language. Your eye contact. Your stillness. You don't disappear. You remain fully present without engaging. That's dominance. If you've stayed with me up to this point, you're not here for entertainment. You're here because you want control over yourself and your presence. If this is hitting home, tap the like button now. It tells the algorithm this message needs to reach disciplined men. And keep watching, because we're about to go deeper into how no response rewires power dynamics permanently. The silent man versus the reactive man. The reactive man argues. The silent man observes. The reactive man defends his reputation. The silent man builds one so solid it needs no defense. The reactive man needs the last word. The silent man doesn't need words at all. One is exhausted. The other is feared. Silence is not passive. No response is not weakness. No reaction is not surrender. It is control. And control is what most people have never experienced in their lives. The moment you stop responding automatically, you step out of the herd and into a different psychological class. Most men are trained from childhood to explain, justify, defend, and react. They are conditioned to believe that if they don't answer, they lose. If they don't respond, they look guilty. If they don't react, they are losing ground. That belief is a lie, and it is one of the most expensive lies a man can ever live by. Because the man who reacts is the man who is being led. The man who withholds response is the man who is setting the pace. Here is the truth that changes everything. The person who reacts first loses psychological leverage. Why? Because reaction reveals priority. When you respond immediately, you are saying without words, "This matters to me. This affects me. This has power over my emotions." And the human brain, especially in social and romantic dynamics, is always scanning for who holds power and who is seeking approval. No response flips the hierarchy. It creates uncertainty. And uncertainty forces the other person to lean in. Why no response feels so uncomfortable, and why that's exactly why it works. Human beings are addicted to feedback. We crave acknowledgement, validation, confirmation, and emotional return. When someone speaks, texts, insults, praises, or tests you, they are unconsciously demanding one thing: recognition. When you deny them that recognition, calmly, silently, without drama, you short-circuit their expectations. Their brain does not know where to place you. And when the brain cannot categorize someone, it assigns importance. This is why silence feels threatening. It's not loud anger, not insults, not confrontation. Silence, because silence removes predictability. And predictability is comfort. The emotional man believes communication is about expression. The silent man understands communication is about positioning. The emotional man thinks, "If I don't reply, I'll look weak." The silent man knows, "If I reply too fast, I expose myself." The emotional man wants to be understood. The silent man wants to be respected. And respect is born from boundaries, not explanations. No response is a boundary without a speech. Most men talk themselves into weakness. They explain why they did something. They justify their silence. They defend their choices. They overcommunicate to appear good. But every explanation you give is a request for permission. A boundary does not require a press conference. A boundary is enforced by behavior, not words. No response is the cleanest boundary there is. It says, I am not available for this. I do not participate in disrespect. I do not engage in low-level exchanges. I am not reactive. And the mind of the other person fills in the rest, usually in your favor. The psychological collapse that happens on the other side. When someone expects a response and doesn't get one, several things happen internally. First, confusion. They replay the interaction. What did I say wrong? Did I go too far? Did he see through me? Second, self-doubt. They begin questioning their position, not yours. They lose certainty. Third, escalation attempts. They send another message. They push harder. They test again. They try humor, anger, guilt, or apology. Fourth, submission or obsession. They either back down, or they become fixated. This is not manipulation. This is human psychology responding to uncertainty. And the silent man creates uncertainty effortlessly. Why women feel no response more intensely. Women are far more sensitive to emotional feedback loops. Attention, validation, reaction, these are signals that confirm influence. When a man stops responding, especially when he used to, it creates a sharp emotional contrast. The question that forms is never, why is he silent? It is always, what changed about me in his eyes? That single question triggers overthinking, self-monitoring, reassessment of value, fear of loss, desire to regain influence. And the desire to regain influence often turns into pursuit. Not because of ego, but because attention withdrawal triggers attachment anxiety. No response is not ghosting, it's selective engagement. This is critical. No response does not mean disappearing forever. It does not mean avoiding responsibility. It does not mean emotional immaturity. It means you choose when engagement is earned. The silent man responds when respect is present, value is exchanged, conversation is meaningful, behavior is appropriate. He does not respond to disrespect, test, emotional bait, power plays, low-effort engagement. This is why silence works, because it is principled, not random. The internal shift you must make. To use no response correctly, you must detach from the need to be liked. Most men break silence too early because they fear being misunderstood, being disliked, losing the connection, looking arrogant, missing an opportunity. But the paradox is this: the more you fear losing people, the more you teach them they can control you. Silence requires internal security. It requires knowing your value without external confirmation. And once you reach that state, your presence alone carries weight. The silent man lives by rules most men never adopt. He does not explain himself to those who are not invested. He does not rush responses. He does not react emotionally in public. He observes first, speaks last. He lets others reveal themselves. He understands that time favors the calm. This code is invisible, but its effects are loud. The hidden benefit: you see people clearly. When you stop responding, people show you who they are. Some respect the boundary. Some push harder. Some get angry. Some manipulate. Some disappear. All of that is information. Silence removes masks. Noise hides truth. This is why no response is power. It filters. It reveals, it protects, it elevates, and most importantly, it places you at the center of your own frame. When you stop responding, something strange happens inside other people. The mind does not tolerate uncertainty. Silence creates a vacuum, and nature hates a vacuum. So the other person begins to fill it with thoughts, assumptions, fears, and projections. They replay conversations in their head, they reread messages, they analyze tone, they ask themselves what they did wrong. And the more emotional the person is, the louder that internal noise becomes. This is where the power truly sits. Most men rush to respond because they believe response equals control. In reality, response often gives control away. When you react immediately, you are signaling that the other person has access to your emotions, your time, your attention. You are telling them without words that they can pull a lever and get a reaction on demand. That is weakness disguised as politeness. No response breaks that pattern. When you do not reply, you force the other person to sit alone with their own behavior. You remove the emotional feedback loop they rely on. You do not validate their anger. You do not reward their disrespect. You do not soothe their anxiety. You simply remove yourself from the exchange, and the absence becomes louder than any argument ever could. This is why silence feels aggressive to people who are used to control. It strips them of leverage. In relationships, this is where dynamics shift. A woman who is used to instant replies, emotional explanations, and constant reassurance suddenly finds nothing to push against. There is no argument to win, no reaction to feed on, no energy to drain, and so her focus turns inward. She begins to question herself instead of questioning you. She begins to chase clarity instead of attention. Not because you are playing a game, but because you have stopped playing at all. In social settings, no response marks authority. Watch powerful men closely. They don't rush to defend their reputation. They don't explain themselves to everyone. They allow silence to do the sorting. Those who matter will understand. Those who don't were never meant to. Silence is not passive, it is selective engagement. When someone disrespects you and you respond emotionally, you meet them at their level. When you argue, you validate their frame. When you explain, you imply guilt. But when you offer no response, you deny them the stage entirely. You signal that their behavior does not qualify for your energy. And energy is the true currency of power. This is why no response feels unbearable to insecure people. It removes the illusion that they matter in that moment. It confronts them with a terrifying possibility that they are not important enough to provoke you. That realization cuts deeper than insults ever could. But understand this, no response only works when it is backed by self-respect. Silence without inner strength becomes avoidance. Silence with discipline becomes dominance. You must be comfortable being misunderstood. You must be willing to let people sit with false assumptions. You must detach from the need to be liked, validated, or seen as nice. This is where most men fail. They break silence too early. They explain too much. They apologize when they should observe. They speak when they should watch. They mistake discomfort for danger and rush to soothe it. The silent man does the opposite. He lets discomfort do its work. He understands that clarity is not always immediate, and that forcing it often weakens his position. He knows that time favors the composed. He trusts that truth surfaces without him shouting for it. And here is the hidden truth most men never learn. People respect the man who can walk away from a conversation unfinished. Because it signals abundance, it signals options, it signals that his identity does not depend on winning every exchange. Silence says, "I don't need this to go my way to be fine." That sentence, unspoken, is terrifying to those who rely on emotional leverage, and attractive to those who understand strength. There is a moment every man faces, usually without realizing it, where the world is testing him. A message goes unanswered. A provocation is thrown casually. Disrespect is disguised as jokes. A woman withdraws affection to see if you will panic. A colleague pushes boundaries just to watch your reaction. Most men fail this test because they believe response equals strength. They rush to explain. They rush to defend. They rush to correct. They rush to prove. And in doing so, they hand over power. Understand this clearly. The fastest way to lose authority is to react emotionally to someone who is trying to pull you off your center. No response is not weakness. No response is selective engagement. When you don't respond, something unsettling happens in the other person's mind. Their brain enters a state of unresolved tension. They expected a reaction and they didn't get one. And the human mind hates unfinished loops. This is where power begins. When you respond immediately, you close the loop for them. They feel satisfied. They feel validated. They feel heard. When you do not respond, they are left alone with their own words, actions, and intentions. They begin to question themselves. Did I say something wrong? Did I offend him? Does he not care? Does he see himself above this? Silence forces introspection. Reaction creates entertainment. The man who responds to everything is predictable. The man who chooses silence is unreadable. And unreadable men are dangerous, not because they threaten, but because they cannot be controlled. This is why emotional manipulators hate silence. They rely on reaction to operate. They feed on reassurance, arguments, emotional explanations, and justifications. When you remove your response, you starve the manipulation. Think about this in relationships. When a woman is used to getting instant emotional feedback, whether positive or negative, and suddenly she doesn't, her internal balance shifts. Not because she lost power, but because the rules changed without her permission. She no longer knows where she stands. And uncertainty amplifies attraction far more than validation ever could. But here's the crucial distinction most men miss. No response is not ghosting. No response is not punishment. No response is not passive aggression. No response is calm non-engagement. It's the energy of a man who knows his worth so deeply that he doesn't feel the need to correct every misunderstanding or defend every accusation. A man who responds to everything is still asking for approval. A man who withholds response is comfortable without it. This principle applies far beyond relationships. In conflict, silence is a mirror. When someone attacks you verbally and you don't respond, their aggression reflects back onto them. Suddenly they look emotional. Suddenly they look unstable. Suddenly they look insecure. You didn't do anything. They exposed themselves. This is why high-status men rarely argue publicly. They let others self-destruct in the noise. Observe powerful figures, real ones, not social media performers. They do not rush to clarify. They do not explain themselves endlessly. They do not react to every rumor or insult. They understand something deeply uncomfortable for most people to accept. Not every message deserves an answer. Not every challenge deserves acknowledgement. Not every person deserves access to your emotional energy. Silence is a filter. It separates those who matter from those who don't. And the moment you internalize this, your entire posture changes. You stop leaning forward emotionally. You stop chasing closure. You stop seeking validation through explanation. You let people sit with their assumptions. And here's the paradox. The less you try to control how people perceive you, the more control you actually gain. Because now perception is built on mystery, not availability. On gravity, not desperation. On presence, not noise. This is why no response feels uncomfortable at first. It exposes the addiction to being acknowledged. But once you break that addiction, you become unshakable. You don't need to win arguments, you win frames. You don't need to dominate conversations, you dominate space. You don't need to be loud, you are felt. And this is only the surface. Because when a man masters no response externally, he begins to master no reaction internally. And that is where real power lives. Silence is misunderstood because weak men use it incorrectly. They go silent out of fear, resentment, or emotional collapse. That kind of silence repels. But the silence of a disciplined man does the opposite. It creates gravity. When you master no response, you are no longer reacting to the world. You are forcing the world to react to you. Most people are addicted to feedback. They speak to feel validated. They argue to feel important. They explain to feel safe. When you remove your response, you remove their emotional oxygen, and anything deprived of oxygen begins to panic. This is why no response feels unsettling to people. It breaks the expected rhythm. Humans are wired for patterns, call and response, action and reaction. When you interrupt that loop, the mind starts scrambling for meaning. They replay conversations in their head. They question their words. They begin to project intentions onto your silence. And projection is power. When you don't respond, people don't assume neutrality. They assume judgment, indifference, or superiority. Not because you said anything, but because the mind hates emptiness. It will always fill silence with interpretation. This is why the quiet man appears confident, even when he says nothing. No response is not avoidance. It is restraint. It is the ability to hold energy without leaking it through unnecessary words. Most men bleed energy every time they open their mouth to defend themselves. They argue online. They justify their choices. They explain their boundaries. They seek approval disguised as clarification. A man who has mastered no response does none of this. He understands a brutal truth. The man who explains the most usually holds the weakest position. When someone challenges you and you rush to explain, you subconsciously accept their authority to question you. When you respond emotionally, you give them control over your internal state. But when you don't respond, when you pause, observe, and remain composed, you deny them access. And denial is dominance. In social situations, the man who speaks last, or not at all, controls the frame. He listens while others reveal themselves. He learns who talks too much, who seeks validation, who is insecure behind bravado. By the time he speaks, if he chooses to, he already knows where everyone stands. This is not arrogance, this is awareness. No response is also how you test people. When you stop responding immediately, you filter intentions. Those who respect you will give you space. Those who are insecure will push harder. Those who seek control will escalate. And those who were never aligned with you will disappear. Silence sorts people faster than words ever could. In relationships, this principle becomes even more powerful. Emotional volatility thrives on reaction. Arguments escalate because both sides are trying to win control of the emotional frame. When you remove your reaction, you remove the fuel. A calm, grounded silence during emotional chaos sends a clear message. I am not controlled by this moment. That alone elevates your presence. But understand this, no response only works when it is backed by inner stability. If your silence is forced, people will feel it. If it is rooted in ego, it will collapse. True silence comes from certainty, from knowing who you are, what you stand for, and what you refuse to entertain. This is why the silent man doesn't need to announce boundaries. His lack of response is the boundary. And the world feels that. When people realize they cannot provoke you, manipulate you, or pull emotional reactions from you, they treat you differently. They speak more carefully. They respect your time. They hesitate before crossing lines. Because uncertainty makes people cautious. And caution is respect in its earliest form. This is the power of no response, not as a tactic, but as a state of being. You are not silent because you are weak. You are silent because you are selective. And selectivity is strength. Most men think responding quickly is a sign of confidence. They think clarity comes from explanation. They think strength is shown by reacting immediately so no one misunderstands them. But this belief is precisely what keeps them weak. Because response is not power, control is. When you respond instantly, you surrender control of the timeline. You let another person decide when you move, when you think, when you speak. That is not strength. That is obedience dressed up as politeness. The man who understands the power of no response understands something brutal about human psychology. Whoever reacts first is already behind. When you refuse to respond, something strange happens in the other person's mind. Their certainty collapses. The narrative they prepared for you no longer works. They expected defense. They expected emotion. They expected engagement. Instead, they meet nothing. And this human mind cannot tolerate nothing. Silence forces self-confrontation. When you don't reply, the other person is left alone with their own thoughts, their own intent, their own insecurity. They start replaying the interaction again and again, wondering what they did wrong, what you were thinking, and whether they misjudged their position. This is where the power shifts. Most people live inside reaction loops. Someone texts, they reply. Someone provokes, they respond. Someone disrespects, they defend. These loops keep them predictable, emotionally exposed, and easy to manipulate. The silent man breaks the loop. He does not rush to clarify, he does not rush to correct, he does not rush to defend his character. Because he knows something most men don't. A man who needs to explain himself has already given away his authority. Authority does not argue. Authority does not chase understanding. Authority exists and lets others adjust to it. When you stop responding to low-value stimuli, you are not being passive. You are filtering reality. You are deciding what deserves your energy and what does not. And here's the part that separates amateurs from masters. No response is not emotional withdrawal. It is strategic presence. You are still there. You are still aware. You simply choose not to engage. That choice unsettles people more than anger ever could. Anger gives them feedback, arguments give them relevance, explanations give them leverage. Silence gives them nothing. And when people receive nothing, they begin to imagine everything. They assume you are calculating, they assume you are unaffected, they assume you are above the situation. Even when you say nothing, your silence speaks for you. This is why no response terrifies insecure people. They depend on reactions to confirm their importance. When you deny them that confirmation, their self-image starts to crack. You'll notice something interesting when you begin practicing this. People will try harder. They'll send follow-up messages. They'll soften their tone. They'll reframe their words. They'll attempt humor. They'll attempt guilt. They'll attempt urgency. All because you didn't respond. And this is the moment where most men fail. They feel the pull, they feel the pressure, they feel the urge to clear things up. And the moment they give in, the spell breaks. The power of no response only works when it is calm, grounded, and intentional, not reactive, not emotional, not childish. Silence used from insecurity feels like avoidance. Silence used from strength feels like command. People can sense the difference. That's why this principle cannot be faked for long. You must actually build a life where your attention is valuable, where you are not desperate for validation, connection, or approval. The man who has purpose does not hover. The man who has direction does not explain. The man who has standards does not chase closure. He lets outcomes speak for him. And here's the uncomfortable truth most men are not ready to hear. If your silence makes people leave, they were never aligned with you in the first place. Silence does not destroy real bonds, it exposes weak ones. It removes those who only stayed because you were available, reactive, and accommodating. And what remains is respect or distance. Both are wins. Because respect brings people closer, and distance brings peace. This is why the power of no response is not about manipulation. It's about self-respect made visible. You are no longer negotiating with worth. You are no longer performing for acceptance. You are no longer explaining yourself into exhaustion. You are letting the world adjust to you instead of shrinking to fit it. And when you live like this consistently, something irreversible happens. People begin to watch you. They study your behavior. They become careful with their words around you. Not because you demand it, but because your silence trained them. There comes a moment in every man's life where he realizes something uncomfortable. That reacting has cost him more than silence ever did. Every argument he tried to win, every explanation he gave to be understood, every defense he offered to protect his image. All of it trained the world to treat him as available for disruption. Because here is the truth no one tells you. The man who responds to everything is controlled by everything. And the man who controls his responses controls the room. No response is not weakness. No response is command. When you stop reacting, people lose their grip on you. When you stop explaining, they lose access to your inner world. When you stop responding, they are forced to sit with their own insecurity. That is where power lives. Most people are addicted to reaction. They poke, they test, they provoke, not because they are strong, but because they are uncertain. They need feedback to know where they stand. When you deny them that feedback, something interesting happens. They start to lean in. They replay the moment in their head. They question their tone. they question their value, they question your perception of them. And suddenly, without raising your voice, without lifting a finger, you become the reference point. This is why silence unnerves people. Noise can be managed. Emotion can be manipulated. But silence offers nothing to grab. Silence forces self-reflection. And most people are terrified of what they'll find there. A man who has mastered no response does not disappear. He repositions. He doesn't ghost. He withdraws access. He doesn't avoid conflict. He outgrows it. And the world feels that shift immediately. People speak differently around him. They choose their words carefully. They hesitate before crossing lines they once ignored. Not because he threatened them, but because he no longer needs them. This is the final evolution of the silent man. Not mystery for attention. Not silence as punishment. Not distance as manipulation. But silence as self-respect. When you respond less, you observe more. When you observe more, you understand more. When you understand more, you move with precision. And precision always beats noise. The loud man demands space. The silent man is given space. The loud man reacts to energy. The silent man sets the energy. The loud man explains who he is. The silent man lets others discover him. That is why silence reshapes how the world treats you. Not overnight, but permanently. So the next time you feel the urge to respond immediately, to clarify, to defend, to correct, pause. Ask yourself one question. What happens if I say nothing? In most cases, you will find the answer is this. You gain leverage, you gain respect, you gain control. And the man who controls himself never needs to control others. This is not about disappearing from the world. This is about becoming untouchable within it. If this message resonated with you, if you felt it instead of just hearing it, hit the like button so this reaches more men who need it. Leave a comment with the word silence if you're ready to move differently. And most importantly, subscribe to The Mind Forge for more episodes from the Silent Man series. The next video breaks down what happens when people realize they can no longer provoke you. Click the next video and continue the transformation.